What's going on, guys? Chad here, and today I'm super happy to be breaking down the Halo Infinite gameplay reveal for the campaign, and we're going to be taking a look at that, and I'm going to be kind of breaking down stuff, giving you my thoughts on it, and all that cool stuff. If you guys want to see individual videos on certain things, check out the playlist. I'm going to have that probably in the description. One thing I want to go ahead and state here is we see a press start to start demo. Really awesome, and probably going to be getting a demo for this before the game launches, so we get to have our hands on this and see how it feels. And hopefully that's going to be free and we don't have to pre-order or anything like that to get this. Hopefully this is just a demo that anybody can play, and it's probably going to be restricted to exactly what we see in this demo gameplay of the campaign. We're probably not going to be able to explore the vast open world that we're going to have access to. Also, the wildlife looks pretty cool. It seems like there's going to be a huge emphasis on wildlife being around inside of this campaign. Another thing to go ahead and state, this is a decent amount of time. This is not directly after we see Chief and Brohammer in one of the trailers that we saw previously. If you guys haven't checked that out, I'll try to link that in the description down below. But yeah, so a little bit of information there. Getting over to something else is I want to talk about these character models. Brohammer and Chief look absolutely stunning, and they just look great. There's some other stuff, though, as far as characters we'll see later, that the rendering and lighting doesn't look near as good. And I specifically want to mention that just because it's been a complaint I've seen from a lot of people, but I would assume those kind of things, as long as with the ray tracing that's been mentioned by 343 that's going to be coming later, the support for that. So I feel like we're going to be fine there, but hopefully that stuff gets addressed and shown before the game actually gets released. But for the most part, I think character models and stuff like that should probably be good, but we'll see.
Are you even listening? I count 3 anti-aircraft cannons. 3 what? You'll be safe here.
And also, between Brohammer and Chief right here, you can see the dialogue. Brohammer is not afraid to talk and say what he thinks to Chief, which I think is awesome. And it seems like there's going to be a lot of dialogue back between both of them, and you can see that they are comfortable with each other, as if they've spent a decent amount of time with each other by this point. So this is probably going to be a way that they introduce cinematics based off of whatever mission or thing that they just completed.
And when you're done with this war, we get away from here. Far away. Wait here. Oh, please.
And right here it kind of seems like Chief compromises.
When I get back, we can look together. Okay, big guy.
All right, and we are here. One thing I'm going to go ahead and point out right away is the assault rifle looks very similar to a Halo Reach's assault rifle, and also the grappling hook is a thing. We'll see that in just a minute. We have, let's see, on the HUD, we've got our current objectives, which is kind of a different thing for Halo, and the HUD looks pretty decent, and obviously some wildlife moving along, and our first interaction with some grunts. Kind of neat. We do have hit markers and a new kind of shield animation. Tons of stuff, it looks like, to explore and kind of keep us occupied inside of this. Animations on some of the banished dropships and stuff like that don't look polished yet, in my opinion. Some of these things I would expect to be fixed. Sprint confirmed for the campaign, at least. I would assume it's probably going to be a multiplayer too, but it didn't seem like it was too overbearing or really fast. Warthog, in my opinion, looks pretty freaking good. Sounds good too. And here we go. This is open world confirmed. And one thing I want to go ahead and mention is, if you saw that little distance between the dropship of where, or the Pelican, where Brohammer and Chief are at, to here, that's a decent amount of area that he's drove, not too much. But they're going to be going to this anti-air gun or air cannon, and that is a significant difference, and we'll see kind of how that might play out into the scale of what we might think of how big this world is. This is your TAC map and upgrades. This is probably almost confirming RPG style elements inside of this game. I don't know if maybe you deal more damage with certain upgrades or have better overshields or maybe a better grappling hook distance or whatever, but these are probably obviously only going to be tied to campaign, but we are going to see upgrades. I don't know what the database is, probably something similar to like what we've had in past Halos of where we can find Easter eggs of like terminals and things. Maybe we can find those inside of Halo Infinite and kind of unlock some neat lore or stuff behind the scenes that maybe isn't just readily accessible, or maybe it's just information that helps us figure out which new missions we want to go to, or maybe that's where we select our missions, because we can see we can view missions with Y, set waypoints, and stuff like that. And then I find this interesting that this right stick says player. Maybe that just centers back on the player. Maybe you can toggle to see other players if you're playing with more than one person. If you're playing this co-op, we'll see how that kind of comes up later. I do want to go back to that actually for just a second. You can see whenever he puts over top of the gun battery, this is the current objective, and that is to destroy the East AA gun, North AA gun, and West AA gun. You can see that he is on what would typically be normal difficulty, and it shows 4 of these, 1 of these, and 320, what I'm assuming are probably points towards upgrading. And we'll kind of see what that all is. But we can definitely see the 3 AA guns that they're talking about. They kind of highlight those. We can see that there's some other stuff in the background here and some sort of objective here. And you can see how we can zoom into that too. So pretty neat. We're going to see kind of the vastness of how far this is from there, this kind of area over here back to where that Pelican is, and this kind of gives us a little bit of scale to kind of associate with. We just have some grunts and infantry just kind of hanging out in random places, which seems like it's going to add to some conflict. I hope it's not as easy as just running over absolutely everything. We'll find that out soon. We'll see here in a second. This elite is something I've seen commented on a lot, and it's the lighting of him, and he just looks kind of cartoony and plasticky, and that has to do with lighting, and you can even see it on the assault rifle here. I don't think the lighting in engine is currently polished yet, and that could have to do with them tweaking stuff for having ray tracing support here in the future, but I would assume this stuff is going to be polished before release. I could be wrong, but I don't think this is going to be a big issue, but neat to see. And we have the VK-78 Commando. My first impressions is maybe this is an alternate to the SMG, but, you know, who knows what this is going to be. But it definitely looks like a new weapon that we're going to have inside the game. And we can also see the grappling hook. We're going to see that being used in a second. But definitely seems like a really cool weapon. ADS obviously confirmed for those weapons. Some really neat stuff happened up here with the Brutes. They drop in on the drop pods. Stick animation actually looked pretty cool, not gonna lie. And here's something really neat. You can see he's shooting at the legs, and it makes the Brute start falling forward and throws him off balance in the middle of his kind of berserker mode. The option to pick up fusion coils, we'll see that later, but it looks like you can just pick them up off the ground, and we'll see in a minute that you can actually throw them. Is this similar to a bubble shield from Halo 3 that maybe is a little more balanced? Excuse me. I think so. And the reason why I think so is we can see here at the top that this is kind of open. Maybe you're able to lob grenades inside of this shield. And we can see at the bottom, maybe it doesn't look like it actually conforms to the ground. There's a possibility this might actually allow you to throw stuff under it if it's not set on an even surface. This would kind of balance this out if this is available in multiplayer. But we'll kind of see. It also looks like it does take damage, and it's not an infinitely health item. Definitely using the grappling hook. The Ravager, this is the first time seeing that weapon, and the MK50 sidekick. I don't know if this is the Halo 2 pistol or if this is a completely different pistol. I don't have that name memorized, unfortunately, so I'm sorry there, guys. Yeah, scope of the world. So we can see that we came from over here. Doesn't look like you can go play back there. There's not much to be shown. It does, however, look like there's a lot going on here, and possibly the ability to travel all the way up here. I would assume you can go here too. Kind of the vibes I'm getting from this, and if so, there is a lot of ways, a lot of places to go, And there is a spire somewhere, I believe, over there. But yeah, wildlife and stuff just looks beautiful. Game looks pretty freaking good. And animation here looks absolutely awful. This right here is one of my favorite things from this. The jackal looks kind of crazy long, which looks really cool. Gets shot once, twice, 3 times, pops out the plasma shield. That animation looks absolutely awesome on that. The Ravager looks pretty freaking cool. The grunt comes flying in is absolutely a neat thing. Used to call those suicides, and yeah, definitely living up to that by getting thrown into the Master Chief while holding the sticky plasma nades. Pulse carbine. This seems like a mixture between the pulse rifle and a carbine. We'll see that being shot here in a second. We can see that all these weapons have the option to vent instead of reload, which is pretty cool. And looks like some kind of fusion coils. And that is dead. Just kind of looking for other things that you guys might find. This is the Mangler. First, I thought this was the Mauler, but this is the Mangler. So the Mauler was more of a shotgun that looked similar to this. That was Brute. And I would assume that most of the weapons that we're going to be seeing here are actually more Brute weapons or just general weapons that the Banished obviously use. But this looks very similar to the Mauler's design, and it's the Mangler, and it actually shoots more like a pistol. And we'll see that in a second. Grappling hook in use. Looks cool. Takes down the grunt. I want to mention that there's quite a few times in here that you see the enemies and they don't look really reactive. And I don't think that's a fault of anything. I don't know if that's just that everything's not completely polished, or if that's kind of dialed back or tuned back specifically for this gameplay demo. We see the fusion coil being sent to Chief and being thrown. I think that would be cooler if that was almost an insta-kill for that and blows up that turret, but it's alright. We can see it being kind of used, the Mangler, as a Brute pistol there. And we get our first look at the CQS-48 Bulldog. This is a new shotgun, and it's got like a drum mag to it, which is kind of cool. Something a little different. Another thing I want to mention is we see the shields here and we see this bar here. I never really paid attention to this until actually just now. And is that a health meter? We'll kind of see later, but I would assume later. Shields come back. And these are some of the last few engagements. And you can see the Elite does look kind of plasticky, but I don't feel the grunt looks as bad. So there's that. And then here we go, and then this is kind of the first transformation into another cinematic from the first cinematic. It seems like these are going to be only used for specifically telling narrative, which is great.
Lost this war months ago.
And that's where I'm going to kind of end this, because he goes ahead and talks here for a little bit, and it's just kind of neat looking at some of the Brutes here. And I do have to say, once again, I feel like the game is going to look a lot better than it looks now. I just don't think everything's been completely polished. I do feel like this model, while there's great texture and detail in certain areas, I feel like right here is a perfect example of this just doesn't cut it for 2020, especially for Halo that pushes the Xbox's capabilities on every platform that it's, or every Xbox that it's released on. But the hair here doesn't look too bad. But just right around the mouth looks like it's not been really touched up or finalized yet, and it just looks kind of plasticky. I don't know if that's due to in-engine lighting, and that might be fixed hopefully before launch. But yeah, guys, that is going to be my complete breakdown of this trailer. I'm going to keep watching it a few times every day and try to see if I can figure out something that maybe I did not cover. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, guys, if there's something that you see that I did not see that you think looks good, go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. These weapons and stuff, they just look great. A great example is right there on the assault rifle. If you look on this digital screen, it just looks stunning. That reflection and dirt and grime on it is so good. And the art design, in my opinion, doesn't look bad. I think it's the lighting and the shading of textures and things that just don't look good right now. And that probably can be attested to the game not being completely polished. But yeah, guys, that's going to be all for this video. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button, get subscribed to the channel if you guys aren't already, and stick around for more Halo videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.